Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm grateful that you're here. I wanted to show you something I've been doing to kind of help me make a plan for cards and other craft things. And because sometimes I'll look and the colors that I'm thinking of don't quite go. And so I've started using some of these booklets that you can get at your local paint store. And so they'll have a picture with some colors. And I really like the ones that have sort of like soothing tones and then a contrast color. Here's a good example of that, where there's lots of grays, whites, buff, and then you get this pop of this pink, and I just really like that. And then inside of these they will have actually swatches of color that kind of show what that palette is using. I like that idea of using a combination of cooler colors with then this sort of zing of bright contrast. One of my favorites, let me find the picture, is this one, where you have some pretty muted neutrals and then this purple, these purple flowers. And I actually was at the paint store trying to match that purple so I could get a better idea of how these colors would go together. So then what I've been doing is using that as ideas for color palettes. All of the ones I'm showing you today are either from Benjamin Moore or Clark and Kingston, and those are actually my preferred ones, because let me show you what they have. So they actually have in their layouts a picture that'll show you the blend of colors, and you can look at the picture and say, do I like how those look together, yes or no? And then they've actually got swatches of the actual colors. And so it's saying, for example, they're calling this lively and energetic because you're getting colors from opposite sides of the color wheel. Then this one is soothing because it's more muted tones. And then this one they're saying is classic and timeless. So let's say that I was going to use that to create a card. Let me show you how I would do that. So I could, on some of these, I actually went and tried to match some of these in a bigger swatch, because a smaller swatch sometimes is a little harder to see. And so sometimes I'll get a bigger swatch so I can really see what that color is. And I love these large swatches. I think these are from Magnolia Home, where you can really see a big chunk of the color. And then one other advantage on these, this is Benjamin Moore, is they will have the same color, but they'll have it in different shades. So you can go from darker to lighter, but you're still in the same color family. Now, generally in these paint stores, there will be someone there that wants to know what you're doing. They want you to buy paint. And so usually I don't take too many at once. And a lot of these I've gathered over time. Some of them we were looking at colors to paint Anne's room. So I just have a folder where I just keep these and collect them, and then every now and then I'll go through and just save the ones that I like, that I've tried and that I've really liked, and then the others I will let go as I see that, oh yeah, those colors aren't working for me. And so let me just show you, if I were going to make a card using this Soothing and Serene Imagine Purple book. Oh wow, I'm just looking at this. Love that. I tend to like color, so I don't necessarily always want it bright and everything, but I like more than just whites and grays. So if I were going to do a card where I had maybe a stamp and coloring, I could match some of these colors to my colored pencils or my markers or whatever to see if I could create this palette. So what I'm going to do actually though, because I like to do die cutting, that's my favorite way to do a card, I can go see if I can match these. When I look at the picture that they're showing for the example, I mean, I see the colors in the picture, but then I don't see this color in there, or this bright green, or some of these golds in this pillow. And so I can use that, though, as a way to kind of leap off from what I see here and maybe choose, because these colors are similar, I might bring in some of these golds into this palette and then create a little bit of a pop of color. So do you see how I can use something that's already there to give me some ideas to go into a color palette that has a certain feeling? As I have really moved into trying to be more frugal, more minimal, not so much stuff, not so much clutter, this that I've actually done for many years all of a sudden started presenting itself to me again as a way to kind of move forward without having to buy a lot of supplies, that I can actually use that as a tool to look at what I already have. So I'm going to go use this against my paper collection. And then I'll bring some pieces back here and kind of talk you through my thinking as I'm planning out a card. And of course, this could apply to other types of crafting, coloring, painting walls, decorating. And so I'll be right back. Okay, so let's refer back to the palette suggested. And then these are the shades of the purples that I pulled from my collection of what I have. So none of mine match exactly to these. And so I pulled some to kind of show you how I'm thinking this through. This is actually much darker than any of the papers shown there, but it's kind of in the same hue as this other one, just a different tone. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll pull that and we'll see. When you compare it to this one, mine is a lot more, it has more red in it. This is more of a bluish purple. So then I found this one. I felt like that was a pretty close match, though this is slightly darker, but I felt like that really fit that tone. So I really want to use that piece. And then I have some others. These two, when I lay them, I'm going to lay them out together so that I can kind of see how they look against each other. And then I pulled this one, but when I look at it, I feel like it's got too much of a pinky tone for this feel. Now, I could go ahead and use it. If I love it, do it. None of this is written in stone. None of this is a thing where it says you have to match these exactly and you have to use them as they are. This is a leaping off point for you to start to look at the colors and start to compare. So I'm going to take this one out, and for now I'm going to take that one out. So I feel like when I look at these three, I feel like I'm getting the same feeling as these colors in that combination. And if I look at the picture, I feel like they lend themselves to that same soothing and serene feeling. So now let's look at some of the accents. So I wanted to find this green. I brought in this one, but I felt like it was just too green. I want something that's more in the blue-green category. This one fell into that same issue. So there's too much yellow in it, too much of the yellow side of the green. And then I found this one. Now, I feel like this is darker than this, but I feel like the feel of it, that more blue in that came through. Now I looked, I do not have anything very close to that. So what I have to do is then bring them beside my others and compare. I feel like it keeps a soothing and calm tone. And remember, this is accent, so I won't be seeing as much of it. So what I can do is lay that so that less of it shows. And I can say, oh, yeah, that is creating a feeling that I like. Now, almost all of these have some version of white, ivory, something in them. And so I'm going to bring in a couple of different shades of white and kind of try to pick that one out. So I'm going to bring in some of my pre-cut cards. I love doing these pre-cuts because they save me time. I love that color. Ooh. It isn't this. See how it's more pink? But wow, I kind of like it with those others. And then I've got this. Oh, that's the same. So let's look at some of these others that are more of a stark white. Oh, okay. Now, when I look at that, I think it has more of a pleasing contrast than that. I feel like the warmth of this one takes a little bit away from the cool tones of this one. So I like the look of that one better. So we've got a collection going, and these two are similar. I'm liking the feel of this. Just a note, I'm looking at these pillows. This is something for your base inspiration. You could use fabric that you like. So I thought about bringing in some of this more vibrant green in the plant. But when I put that in, I don't like that at all. It's very loud, very jarring, and doesn't go with the serene mood I'm going for. Now, if I'm going for lively, bright carnival, then yeah, that would be great. And then if I bring in this one, I do like that. I think it keeps that serene mood, so that's a possibility. And then I wanted to bring in some gold from the pillows. And that is pretty bright. And I love the yellow against the purple. They are complements. They're across each other on the color wheel. So that's kind of nice, and I'm liking it. I like that pop of color. Now remember, those are going to be smaller amounts, so I might want to look at them in smaller amounts next to my other colors. And I think I do like that. Now, so this is where I'm going to start with my card. Now, you don't have to do it my way. And remember, everyone sees color differently. And in fact, our eyes do not remember color. We know that things are certain colors, but our eyes typically do not remember subtle contrast between colors. So these two are similar, but if someone said, oh, which of those would work, I actually would have to hold them up to each other to be able to see the difference, because we do not remember subtleties of color. And that's an interesting thing to keep in mind as you're choosing these. So I feel like this palette meets that sort of soothing and serene look. Now, if we were looking for lively and energetic, then I've got a whole different look I'm going for. Then the brighter, the brighter colors come into play. But I do love that even though these are complements across the color wheel and accent colors, that they still work together well. Alrighty, so that's just one of my ideas for getting some inspiration for card making or crafting of any kind. And there's just so many ideas out there. I mean, I look at these, and so maybe if you are feeling uninspired, this is a good way to start, because I look at this, for example, because green is one of my favorite colors. I look at this combination and I go, ooh, I want to make a card with that kind of a combination. And so that's just an idea. These are at all of our paint stores, these are free. You can just pick them up. Just don't overdo it in one place, and pick out some colors that you think are pleasing and start to lay them out and see how you want to combine them for a card. So I'm going to use these. Let's make a card. I have a card layout in my mind, so I'm going to get some prep done, and then we'll come back and assemble the card together. Okay, let's get this card together. I've got all of the parts assembled. Remember, we're using this just as inspiration, not as a hard and fast thing that we have to chain ourselves to. Okay, so what I did first is I went ahead and used my embossing folder and embossed a sort of a polka dot pattern on that paper. That is 5.5 by 4. I want the card to be 4.5, and so I'll show you what I'm going to do about that. And then I've got my card back that's going to go on, and that's where we're building everything. That won't show it all, so it really doesn't matter the color. I go ahead and pick white because I have a lot of white, and then it's easy to put a message on the inside. So that's the card back. The next thing I did is I used this die from Lawn Fawn. This is called the Puffy Cloud Border. And I went ahead and cut that out just to give us a real pretty decorative edge along there. And everything that I use, if it's possible, I will go ahead and link in the description below so you can find them easily. And then that is going to go on that as well. And then I really wanted a patterned paper, and I just didn't have any that worked. And so I used this same color, and I actually got a strip of it and tried a whole bunch of different colors of ink. Now, I tried my purples and my grays, and none of them looked very good. So then I thought, well, I've got some greens in here. Didn't like any of those. I even tried the yellow, that's that spark of color in our inspiration palette. Didn't like that. Tried another one. And finally, I found this. It's the Perfect Plum from Stampin' Up. And it's not like I've got tons of stamps, but that ended up being just the right tone that I needed for that overall look. So there's an idea. Just get a strip and just do the corner of your stamp pad, and then you can kind of see how that's going to stamp. So that, I just really liked how that turned out. So then I also used my nesting circle dies and cut out double circles. So we've got an inside and an outside with a pretty border. And then I actually got this set. This is Crafter Square from the dollar store. So it has hearts. It's hearts and berries. If you see it, get it, because it comes and goes, and I haven't seen it for a while. It may come back at Valentine's Day time. I'm not sure. And then I just cut some of those lighter hearts out of our pastel green. Now, what I usually do, I'll take a scrap of all of those colors I'm doing, and then this is what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to take that booklet apart because, and I'll keep this with the others that I still haven't used yet. And then I just go ahead and take scraps, paper clip it on there, and then the next time I'm looking for a color inspiration, or I know I'm doing something for someone who likes purple, then I could go ahead and grab those and have a larger swatch to be able to compare. Now, that doesn't mean I will always have these papers, but at least it's something helpful. And I know already, and I maybe could make a note of this, I do want to find something that would imitate that beautiful darker purple trunk that's right there. But that way, I have a little bit of a file to help me remember, and then that can go just right in my color file, and it's there for me for next time. It also has that on the back that I kind of don't want to forget because I love that orange, pink, purple combination there. But anyway, I have it available so I can look at that for a future reference. Okay, so that's what I did for all of my prep to get our card together. And now this should go together pretty quickly. And so we're just going to go ahead and do all of this. I'm going to decide how much of that middle color I want to show. So then I'm going to go ahead and assemble these, and I just kind of like to do it as a little bit of an assembly line. Just do all the pieces all at once. Okay? Okay. When I know I want to maybe move things around to get them centered just right, I prefer to use the glue, because the Elmer's tape runner, man, when it goes down, it holds it. And so I kind of, if I think I'm going to need to move it around a little bit, I want to use the the glue. Put that down. I don't know if you can hear my girls upstairs goofing off. They're making bread and having some fun, so that might be a little noisy, but hey, that's home. Okay, now I'm going to layer these. At the very end, we'll add a little bit of bling. Now, this is a card that, that you could for sure do for Valentine's Day. And so you can change the colors around as you have seen and make it, you know, pinks and reds. That would be super cute for Valentine's Day. For any occasion, you could replace the circles with flowers, squares, any shape. You could do one big long thing. It's just, there's just so many ways that you can use this same design to, I guess, interpret your design. Okay, so I have actually finished 3 different cards. These could all be used for Valentine's Day or any occasion. And I've used 3 different palettes from our paint chips. And so I want to just show you how these turn out and how you can take different paint chips for color inspiration, but use the same layout and create 3 different cards. And so this first one we finished off then with a like a metallic heart in the middle there. This is a top opening, and we used this soft and soothing, serene palette of the purples with some green accents. So that's the first one. So let's look at the next color palette. I just loved this one with this pop of this reddish and this blue and the yellows. And so I actually went through several different pieces of yellow. Most of what I had was very bright, not as creamy and smooth as these were. And this patterned one, once I had picked out these 2 that I felt complemented those parts of the palette really well, and I brought in a few different patterned ones, I just felt like that jumped in really well with those 2. Because remember, this is my starting off point. I don't have to, you know, slavishly hold to those exact colors. And then I found this blue that was close and I thought went really well, but then when I brought in that red, I just felt like that whole palette just popped open, and I just really liked those together. So those are the ones I'm going to keep with that palette in my file. And then here's the completed card. So this one is a side opening card. And so I used the blue as the background card and cut this, cut my layered pieces so that a little bit of that showed. Now, so one of the things I want to point out is you can take the same layout and shift it around to be any orientation. Then of course I added the red as an accent here and just spelled out love with some domed stickers that I have. They're kind of an enamel sticker, and so I just finished that off with that. So then our last card, let me show you the palette first. I loved this. This is the Adore Red from Clark and Kensington. And I just loved this grouping. This is also considered soft and soothing. So one way this really helped me is I was really debating back and forth between using this with these 2. This, I knew this would be background and pattern and accent, but I was going back and forth between this really kind of white with a slight pink tint, or this this background has a slight orange tint, and there is some of that orange tint in these, and I felt like those picked it up. So when I was debating between using this one or this one, having this palette in front of me really helped, because what I did is I took this, I put that with it, and I put that with it, and I kind of went back and forth. And in the end, I felt like this one actually felt more a part of this group than this one did. And so it helped me make that decision about using this instead of the other one. You'll notice in the other two, I had 5 different colors in that palette. But this one, I just really liked those 4 together, so I stuck with those 4. So let me show you the card that I made with that one. Okay, so here we have that background, our pattern, and then I love how that dark accent, that mine is actually somewhere between these two. I love how that dark accent looks against that patterned paper. And then I just went ahead and added some embellishments that I already had. I felt like a snowflake. There's a heart behind it in this same color. I felt like that lent itself well to Valentine's Day. At least in our area, it's still really snowy. And then I just had some pinkish jewels that I just added for extra accent, and I just really love how this card turned out. I went ahead and did it as a top orientation. And so using those paint chip palettes really inspired me with these cards. It really helped me pick out the colors, and where I was in a little bit of a card slump maybe, going to these and looking at other pictures and things just really kind of got my creative juices going again. And so there's just some ideas. I hope you like this. Comment below which card is your favorite. I know which one is my favorite, but it has the colors that I like best. But I really like how they all came out, and they're different in different ways. We used the same layout, switched orientation, switched the direction we put things on, but you can create 3 very different cards using the same layout and grabbing your inspiration from some of these paint store color chips. I hope you liked this. I hope you'll subscribe and join me for more videos. I'm still working on my house declutter, but every now and then I just have to stop and create. And I hope you do too. And we'll see you next time.